My sister wrote in the group chat, "We're doing dinner without her. Let's avoid drama." My parents didn't object. That told me enough. I replied with one word, "Noted." Then I opened my banking app and removed my name from the joint account. An hour later my dad called 14 times. And it was just the beginning. I never thought a single word in a group chat would change everything. But noted, that's all it took to blow up my entire family. Let me back up. My name is Rachel, and for the last 3 years I've been the family ATM. Not because I'm rich, I'm a nurse practitioner, I work hard for my money, but because I'm single, no kids, and apparently that means my finances are community property. My sister Brooke has 2 kids and a husband who works when he feels like it. My parents are retired but somehow always short on cash. Me. I'm the responsible one. The dependable one. The one who pays for family dinners, covers mom's car repairs, and yes, stupidly, agreed to a joint account with dad, just for emergencies. Emergencies like Brooke's kitchen remodel, apparently. The group chat message came on a Tuesday. I was on my lunch break eating a sad desk salad when my phone buzzed. Family text thread. Brooke's message popped up. "We're doing dinner without her. Let's avoid drama." I stared at it. Read it 3 times. Waited for someone, mom, dad, anyone, to say something. To defend me. To ask what the hell she was talking about. Silence. Mom sent a thumbs up emoji. Dad wrote, "Sounds good." Do you know what it feels like to realize your entire family has been planning around you like you're the problem? Like you're some volatile inconvenience they need to manage? I sat there for 10 minutes, my salad forgotten, hands shaking. Then I typed one word, "Noted." And I meant it. I opened my banking app right there in the break room. The joint account with dad showed $12,000. My $12,000, by the way, that I'd been depositing for family emergencies. My finger hovered over the remove account holder button. Imagine what I decided to do then. I pressed it. Transferred every cent to my personal account. Removed my name entirely. Done. The whole thing took maybe 3 minutes. Then I blocked the family group chat, finished my shift, and went home. I made myself dinner. A real dinner, not a sad salad. Poured a glass of wine and watched reality TV. For the first time in months I felt light. Free. An hour and a half later my phone started ringing. Dead. I ignored it. He called again. And again. 14 times in 20 minutes. Then mom started calling. Then Brooke. I didn't answer any of them. The voicemails started coming in. Dad's first one was confused. "Honey, I'm trying to transfer some money and it says you're not on the account? Call me back." The second one was annoyed. "Rachel, this isn't funny. I need to pay for something. Call me now." The third one. Panic. "What did you do?" That money was for the family. I deleted them all without listening to the rest. But here's the thing, I saved them. Because I had a feeling I'd need proof of exactly how they reacted when their cash cow finally walked away. You think I overreacted? Maybe. But let me tell you what led to that moment, and you tell me if you would have done differently. It started 6 months earlier, when Brooke decided she needed a better kitchen for the kids. Never mind that her kitchen was fine. She wanted granite countertops and one of those fancy farmhouse sinks. The quote came back at $18,000. Her husband Derek said they couldn't afford it. So Brooke did what Brooke always does, she went crying to mom and dad. And mom and dad did what they always do, they came to me. "It's for the kids, Rachel. You know how important family is." I said no. For once in my life I actually said no. I had my own expenses. I was saving for a down payment on a condo. I was tired of funding everyone else's dreams while mine collected dust. Brooke didn't speak to me for a week. Then she started the whisper campaign. Suddenly I was selfish. I was forgetting where I came from. I thought I was better than everyone. Family dinners got tense. Brooke would make little comments. "Must be nice to have all that disposable income. Some of us have responsibilities, you know." And my parents, they just changed the subject. Never defended me. Never told her to back off. But they had no problem asking me to cover mom's $800 car repair 2 weeks later. Which I did. Because I'm an idiot who can't say no to family. The joint account was dad's idea originally. Just in case something happens and we need to access funds quickly. You trust me, don't you? Of course I trusted him. He's my dad. What I didn't know was that emergency access meant Brooke could guilt him into borrowing money whenever she wanted. I found out later, much later, that $4,000 of my money had already gone to her kitchen fund before I even pulled the plug. So that Tuesday when I saw that group chat message, when I saw my own family planning to exclude me to avoid drama. Drama I never even started, something snapped. I wasn't the problem. I was the solution they'd been exploiting for years. No. Now they were about to learn what happened when the solution removed itself. My phone was still ringing when I went to bed that night. I turned it off completely. Best sleep I'd had in months. But when I woke up Wednesday morning and turned my phone back on, I had 47 missed calls and a text from Mom that made my blood run cold. Your father is in the hospital. He had chest pains because of the stress you caused. I hope you're happy. The hospital text hit me like a truck. My hands were shaking so hard I could barely type back. Which hospital? No response. Called Mom. Straight to voicemail. Called Dad's phone. Voicemail. Called Brooke even though it made me sick to do it. She answered on the first ring. Oh, now you want to talk to us? Is Dad actually in the hospital or are you lying to manipulate me? The silence told me everything. Then she said, he had chest pains, Rachel. Real ones. The stress of what you did. I hung up. Here's the thing about my family, they're not above weaponizing health scares. When I was 23 and tried to move across the country for a job, Mom suddenly had heart palpitations that disappeared the second I agreed to stay local. So forgive me for not immediately falling to pieces. But I'm not a monster. I drove to their house. Dad answered the door looking perfectly healthy. Not hospital gown pale. Not clutching his chest. Just angry. You want to explain what the hell you were thinking? He said instead of hello. Which part? The part where Brooke planned a family dinner specifically without me, or the part where you both agreed to it? Mom appeared behind him. This isn't about that dinner. This is about you stealing from your family. Actually laughed. Stealing MY money from MY account? That account was for emergencies. Dad's face was getting red now. Do you think I should have felt guilty? Because I didn't. Right. Emergencies like Brooke's kitchen counters. Mom's expression flickered. Guilt maybe. But she recovered fast. We were going to tell you about that. When? After you spent all $12,000. Brooke's car pulled into the driveway. Perfect timing. She got out holding her phone like a weapon, her kids in the backseat with Derek. You're unbelievable, she said, marching up. Do you know what you've done? Dad needs that money for his medication refills. Mom needs her tooth fixed. But sure, be selfish. Dad's medication is covered by Medicare. And Mom's tooth has been about to fall out for 2 years. I looked at all three of them. Want to try again? That's when Brooke said the thing that changed everything. You've always been jealous that I have a real family and you don't. The words just hung there. Mom didn't contradict her. Dad looked away. And I realized, this was what they actually thought. That I was bitter. Jealous. That funding their lives was the least I could do since I didn't have kids to spend money on. I pulled out my phone and opened my banking app. Showed them the transfer history from the past year. 42 deposits into that joint account. 18 withdrawals I never made. Brooke's kitchen. Brooke's daughter's birthday party. Brooke's fence repair. I looked at my sister. Should I keep going? Her face went white. You said you'd pay me back, Dad mumbled. And you believed her? I asked. The same way you believed this money was for emergencies? What would you do in my position? Stay and fight? Or walk away? I chose walk away. But not before I said one more thing. The group chat said to avoid drama. So that's what I'm doing. Don't call me unless you're ready to apologize. And Brooke? Find yourself a new bank. I got in my car and left. Didn't look back even though Mom was yelling something about family being forever. My phone stayed quiet for 3 whole days. Honestly, it was peaceful. I went to work, came home, lived my life. No guilt trip texts. No emergency calls. Nothing. Then on Saturday my Aunt Linda called. Dad's sister, the one who lives in Oregon and only shows up for major holidays. Rachel, honey, what's going on? Your mother called me crying about some fight. I told her everything. The group chat. The money. The hospital manipulation. All of it. She was quiet for a long moment. Then, that account had $12,000 in it? Yeah. And they took money without asking? Repeatedly. Jesus Christ. She sighed. Your dad pulled this same crap with me 20 years ago. I wondered if he'd changed. That's when I learned my family's pattern wasn't new. Aunt Linda had loaned Dad money for a business investment that became Brooke's private school tuition. She never saw a penny back. Cut them off, she said. Completely. It's the only thing that worked for me. But here's where it gets interesting. That same night I got a text from an unknown number. It's Derek. Brooke's husband. Can we talk? I stared at Derek's text for a solid minute. Brooke's husband had never contacted me directly. Not once in the 8 years they'd been married. We barely spoke at family gatherings. About what? I typed back. Not over text. Coffee tomorrow. I'll come to your side of town. Every instinct screamed trap. But curiosity won. 10 a.m. Starbucks on Maple. He showed up early looking like he hadn't slept. His usual cocky attitude was gone. He ordered a black coffee and sat down like he was afraid I'd bolt. I didn't know, he said immediately. About the money. About any of it. I raised an eyebrow. Your wife remodeled your entire kitchen and you didn't ask where the money came from? She told me her parents gave it to her. As a gift. He ran his hand through his hair. Rachel, I found the bank statements last night. She's been taking money from that account for over a year. Not just for the kitchen. He slid his phone across the table. Screenshots of transactions. My money had paid for a beach vacation I was never invited to. Designer purse purchases. A $3,000 gaming computer for the kids. That was clearly Derek's. Do you think I felt vindicated? I felt sick. Why are you telling me this? I asked. Because I'm done. His voice cracked. I've been working double shifts trying to keep up with bills while she spends like we're millionaires. He told me we were fine financially. That her parents were helping. I believed her. And now I know my marriage is built on lies and your money. He looked me dead in the eye. I'm leaving her. Filing for divorce. But I wanted you to know the truth first. You deserve that much. I sat back stunned. This wasn't what I expected at all. Then he said something that made my blood freeze. There's something else. Your dad? He's not sick, but your mom actually is. Stage 2 breast cancer. She's been in treatment for 3 months. The world tilted. What? Brooke told me not to say anything. Your parents didn't want you to know because... He hesitated. Because they were afraid you'd feel obligated to help pay for treatment. And Brooke wanted that money for herself. I couldn't breathe. My mother had cancer and they kept it from me so my sister could buy throw pillows. Where's her treatment? My voice sounded far away. St. Mary's. She has chemo every other Tuesday. He checked his phone. Actually, she has an appointment today. In about an hour. I don't remember leaving the coffee shop. I drove to St. Mary's on autopilot, my mind racing. Was Derek telling the truth? Was this another manipulation? But when I walked into the oncology wing and saw my mom in the waiting room, balled under a floral scarf I'd never seen before, looking smaller than I'd ever seen her look. She saw me. Her face went completely white. Rachel. Her voice was barely a whisper. Stage 2. I asked. 3 months of treatment? Her eyes filled with tears. Who told you? Does it matter? I sat down next to her, my anger evaporating into something more complicated. Mom. Why? Because I know you. She wouldn't look at me. You would have dropped everything. Paid for everything. Given up your life again. And Brooke said... She stopped. Brooke said what? A nurse called her name before she could answer. Mom stood up wobbly. I'm coming with you, I said. Rachel, you don't have to. I'm coming. We sat in that treatment room for 3 hours while poison dripped into her veins to save her life. She told me everything. The diagnosis came right after Christmas. They had good insurance, so treatment was mostly covered, but there were co-pays. Medication costs. Dad wanted to tell me immediately. But Brooke convinced them I'd be too controlling about Mom's care. That I'd take over everything and make it about me. That they should protect me from the stress. And you believed her, I said quietly. Mom started crying then. Real broken sobs. I'm so sorry. I let her poison me against you because it was easier than admitting I raised her to be selfish. Do you know how hard it is to stay angry at someone who's getting chemotherapy? But here's the thing, I was angry. Furiously angry. Just not at Mom anymore. When we left the hospital, I drove her home. Dad's car was in the driveway and so was Brooke's. She comes over every day, Mom said quietly. Helps around the house during treatment weeks. How generous of her, I said, considering she's been stealing money that could have helped you. We walked in together. Dad and Brooke were in the living room. They both froze when they saw me. What's she doing here? Brooke demanded. I ignored her. Looked straight at Dad. You knew Mom had cancer and you let Brooke take money for kitchen counters instead of protecting her. How does that feel? Dad's face crumbled. The insurance covers. That's not the point. My voice was louder than I intended. The point is you chose Brooke's wants over Mom's needs. Over honesty. Over me. Don't make this about you, Brooke snapped. You're not the victim here. That's when I pulled out my phone. Played a voice recording I'd made of my conversation with Derek. His confession about the money. The lies. All of it. The color drained from Brooke's face. Derek's filing for divorce, I said calmly. He's going to subpoena financial records. The court will see every dollar you took from that account. Every lie you told him about where the money came from. You're bluffing, she whispered. Am I? I turned to my parents. Here's what's going to happen. Mom's going to text me her treatment schedule. I'll be at every appointment. Dad's going to open a new account without Brooke's access, for actual emergencies. And Brooke. She looked like she might throw up. You're going to pay back every cent. I don't care if it takes you 10 years. Every single cent. That's when someone knocked on the door. Dad answered it. 2 police officers stood on the porch. We're looking for Brooke Matthews. We have some questions about fraudulent credit card charges. Brooke's face went gray. What credit cards? The older officer checked his notepad. Cards opened in Rachel Matthews' name. And Linda Patterson's. You know these people? My stomach dropped. She'd stolen my identity? And Aunt Linda's? I wouldn't, Brooke stammered. Mom grabbed the back of a chair. Dad just stood there frozen. The officer looked at me. Are you Rachel Matthews? Yes. We need you to come to the station. We've been trying to reach you about suspicious activity on accounts you didn't open. My phone. I'd been ignoring unknown numbers for days. Turns out Brooke had opened 3 credit cards in my name over the past year. Maxed them all out. Nearly $40,000 in debt I knew nothing about. She'd used Mom's personal information to do it. Birth date, social security number, stuff she had access to. And Aunt Linda? Another $15,000. I was going to pay them back, Brooke whispered. I just needed time. Save it for your lawyer, the officer said. Ma'am, you'll need to come with us. They handcuffed her right there in my parents' living room. Her kids were at school, thank God. Derek would have to pick them up. As they led her out, she looked at Mom with these desperate eyes. Mom, please, don't let them do this. Mom said nothing. She just turned away. Dad followed the police to his car, saying he'd meet them at the station. Mom and I were left alone in the sudden silence. Did you know? I asked quietly. No. She looked ancient. Rachel, I swear to God I didn't know about the credit cards. I believed her. But it didn't make it hurt less. Over the next week, everything unraveled. Derek filed for divorce and requested full custody, citing financial fraud. Brooke was charged with identity theft, a felony. Dad hired her a lawyer they couldn't afford, which started a whole new fight between my parents. Aunt Linda flew in from Oregon. She discovered the fraud weeks ago and had already filed a police report. When she found out Brooke had done the same to me, she pushed for prosecution. She needs consequences, Linda said. Real ones. But here's where it got complicated. Brooke's public defender offered her a plea deal: restitution, probation, community service. No jail time if she paid everything back. Impossible, obviously. He had no money and no job. The prosecutor called me. If you wanted to push for jail time, we have a strong case. Do you think I wanted my sister in prison? I didn't know. Part of me wanted her to suffer like she'd made me suffer. But another part, the part that remembered us as kids before she became this person, that part hesitated. I told the prosecutor I needed time to think. That night, Derek showed up at my apartment. He looked exhausted. The girls keep asking when Mommy's coming home, he said. I don't know what to tell them. Tell them the truth. They're 6 and 8, Rachel. He sat down heavily. Look, I know what she did was unforgivable. But they're innocent. And if she goes to prison, they lose their mom. They're already losing their family. She should have thought about that. You're right. But I'm not asking for her. I'm asking for Emma and Sophie. Using the kids. Of course. But then he said something that stopped me. I'll make sure she pays you back. Every cent. I'll take a second job if I have to. I'll sell the house. Whatever it takes. Just don't send their mother to prison. I looked at this man who'd been betrayed as badly as I had, begging me to show mercy to the woman who'd destroyed his life. What would you have done? I called the prosecutor the next morning. I'll accept the plea deal on one condition: full restitution within 5 years, and if she misses a single payment, the deal is void and she goes to trial. That's harsh, he said. That's generous, I corrected. Brooke took the deal. At the hearing, she had to face me and apologize in front of the judge. It was hollow. Rehearsed. But it was something. Mom's treatment continued. I went to every appointment. Dad started therapy, actual therapy, to deal with his enabling. He admitted he'd always favored Brooke because she needed him more. And what did I need? I asked during one family session. He cried. I don't know. You were always so strong. I wasn't strong. I was surviving. Things were still broken. Maybe they'd always be broken. But then something unexpected happened. Mom finished her final chemo treatment. The whole family showed up. Me, Dad, even Aunt Linda flew back in. Brooke wasn't there. She was working her court-mandated community service. As we celebrated Mom ringing the bell, my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. I need help. It was Brooke. I stared at the text. Every instinct said delete it. But I excused myself from Mom's celebration and stepped into the hallway. What kind of help? Emma's sick. High fever. Derek's at work and won't answer. I can't leave community service or I violate probation. Please. I could have said no. Should have said no. Instead I called Derek. I'm in a meeting, he answered, irritated. What? Your daughter's sick. Silence. Then, damn it. I'll leave now. I'm closer. I'll get her. I picked up Emma from school. She was burning up, crying for her mom. At the pediatrician, strep throat. Antibiotics, rest, nothing serious. But sitting in that waiting room with my niece's head on my shoulder, I realized something. This little girl didn't ask for any of this. Neither did Sophie. I took Emma home and stayed with her until Derek got there. Brooke showed up an hour later, still in her bright orange community service vest. She looked horrible, exhausted, defeated, smaller somehow. Thank you, she whispered. She couldn't even look at me. I left without responding. But 3 days later an envelope appeared in my mailbox. Inside was a check for $200 and a letter in Brooke's handwriting. First payment. I know it's nothing compared to what I owe. I know sorry isn't enough. I destroyed everything because I was jealous of you. You had freedom and choices and I had kids and bills and I resented you for it. That's not an excuse. It's just the truth. I'm in therapy now. Court ordered, but I'm actually going. I'm trying to figure out why I became this person. Mom doesn't deserve what I put her through. You don't. My own kids don't. I'll pay you back if it takes the rest of my life. Not because the court says to. Because it's right. Do you think people can actually change? I didn't cash the check. I put it in a drawer. But the next month, another $200 came. Then another. For 6 months straight, Brooke paid me. She got a job at a call center. Derek said she'd given up the fancy groceries, the shopping trips, everything. Mom's cancer went into remission. At her 6-month scan celebration, Brooke showed up with homemade cookies. Not expensive bakery ones. She sat in the corner, quiet, while the rest of us celebrated. Before she left, she approached me. Can we talk? Just for a minute. We stepped outside. I don't expect forgiveness, she said. But I want you to know I'm trying. I enrolled in a financial literacy course. I'm teaching the girls about budgets. Derek and I are in couples counseling. We might not make it, but we're trying. Why are you telling me this? Because you deserved a sister who had your back. Instead you got me. Her voice cracked. I can't change the past. But maybe I can be better going forward. For my kids if nothing else. Something in me softened. Just slightly. Keep making payments, I said. Show me, don't tell me. She nodded and left. A year passed. Brooke never missed a payment. We weren't close, maybe we'd never be. But at family dinners she stopped making digs. Started asking about my life. She listened. Dad sold his boat to help with restitution. Said he wanted to make things right. Mom started inviting me over for just the two of us without Brooke there. We talked about real things. Her fears. My loneliness. The family we wished we'd been. Aunt Linda became my closest ally. We talked every week. She told me stories about setting boundaries with family and not feeling guilty about it. Then one Sunday 18 months after everything imploded, my doorbell rang. Brooke stood there with Emma and Sophie. The girls made you something, she said. They handed me drawings. Stick figures labeled Aunt Rachel. Hearts and flowers everywhere. We wanted to thank you, Emma said solemnly, for taking care of me when I was sick. Sophie hugged my leg. Mommy says you're the bravest person she knows. I looked at Brooke. She had tears in her eyes. You didn't have to help me that day, she said quietly. After everything I did. But you showed up anyway. That's who you are. I'm trying to learn how to be like that. It wasn't perfect. Our family would never be the sitcom version of perfect. But it was honest now. And somehow that was enough. So what do you think? Did I do the right thing by giving her a chance? Or should I have pushed for harsher consequences? I still don't know sometimes. But I do know that holding on to anger was destroying me more than it was hurting her. If you enjoyed this story, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Have you ever dealt with family betrayal? How did you handle it? And if something resonated with you, please hit that like button. If you think I made mistakes along the way, share your honest opinion. I want to hear it. Thank you so much for listening to my story. It means more than you know.